different fields, um, especially when uh, especially when you get started. When you get started, unless you get the opportunity to join an organization, you don't necessarily need to specialize at that point. You can explore the different fields. You may say you want to uh, be in a red team, more or less, do the VPT stuff and do the hacking bit. But you come to realize, wait, I think after you respond to an incident, you start to think maybe you much more fit in that role. So you need to be also open when it comes to stuff like uh, just exploring different fields or different departments within the cybersecurity. So some of the ways that you can progress your career. Um, One of the ways I'd already talked about it is, um, what do you call it? Doing a lot of research and studying. Um, for instance, when you're getting started, most organizations want to see that you have at least the basic minimum set called ethical hacker, or you've done this because some of these things you have to pay for them. So you just go and do these free courses, showing that you're enthusiastic and showing that you have the passion to learn. That also really helps. So for instance, if you get a entry-level job, for instance, take advantage of the hands-on experience that you get there. Because there is this, is it called the 80-20 rule that says that 20% you read, 80% you learn. So you will be able to relate some of the things you read with what you do hands-on and physically. However, every organization is different. So there's a lot that you're going to also learn when you're in the organization. Different infrastructures, the different organizations operate different operating systems. So that will also help a lot. After you get to about 2-3 years, you're intermediate, you have a bit of experience now. From there now, you can now start to you cannot choose, do you want to be an incident response person? You'll also be given a bit of more complex tasks. So for instance, you'll have to probably design a couple of solutions, integrate a couple of solutions. But by this time, you already familiar with the infrastructure in the organization. So they'll depend on you to provide a lot of guidance when it comes to uh, securing and improving the security posture of the organization. Um, After that, now you can now decide if you want to specialize. Um, after 2-3 years or within the 2-3 years, you can now decide, maybe I want to now focus on network security, or I want to be in application security, identity and access management. There are a number of places you can find yourself. Threat intel, compliance is also the governance aspect of security, which I did not know much about before I joined my first organization, where you need to ensure that policies and procedures are in place. That means there's proper, for instance, change management, because if processes are not being followed, then that starts to introduce vulnerabilities within an organization. So the governance aspect also just guides on how things are going to happen within security. As well as now, once you specialize, you can also decide, do I want to go further and become a leader in this career? Now you become a security manager, or you become a CISO. But I've also seen people who don't necessarily want to take up the leadership roles, but are very good in, for instance, vulnerability assessments and PT, and are all very good in the red team. So you'll see them specializing completely in that, and it works for them, because you'll find this career still, the jobs opportunities are still quite a lot. They keep coming. Professionals, I say, are still quite few. Um, Especially people who are specialized and very good are still quite few. So it's very important that you just set clear goals, continue developing your skills. That never ends, especially when you're still getting started. That's the time to start doing certifications, because the farther you go and the more you grow into your career and take up a lot of leadership roles, then it becomes a bit harder to start doing all those certifications. So for instance, I remember when at my first organization, I'd done CH, I did my CSSP. I was not even, to be CSSP, you need to have done 5 years. I had not even done 5 years yet. I'd done 3 years. So I was given the associate CSSP, and then from there on, when I reached 5 years, now you go to ahead to apply for the full role, the CSSP role. I did my CISA as well. Yeah, so there are a couple of cybersecurity, a lot. In most organizations, sometimes the board level will not see the value of cybersecurity until an incident happens. So you need to be able to communicate to the board quite well. You need to be able to communicate to them in a layman's term, just to show them the value of cybersecurity, because some of them will only see the value once an incident happen or attempt for an incident to happen. So some of the ways you can show value in cyber in this field are ensuring you're protecting all your data. A number of companies today have very sensitive data, including us. So ensuring your data is encrypted in all states, for example, will prevent data breaches and cyber attacks. You also need to show them how you can mitigate financial losses. And when I talk about financial losses in this case, I'm not just talking about the monetary bit, but in relation to the monetary bit, there's also reputational damage that comes into play. There are legal liabilities as well that come into play, and we've now you tie that with, if this happens, then for instance, we lose customers or we lose money now and all that, as well as many organizations, banks, insurance companies are all held accountable to compliance and regulatory requirements. So for instance, in banks, you'll find CBK require you to have a certain standards. You'll find some banks have what you call PCI DSS, payment card industry data security standards in place. And when you have such certifications, that also brings a level of confidence to the customer, because now they know that, okay, this organization has put in place a number of measures to proceed to secure their environment, as well as most organizations can't afford to have downtimes all the time. So for example, if there's a denial of service on an organization and it hits the infrastructure, and the organization is down for close to a day, that's a lot of money spent. So explaining to the board some of these things, and you relate them to how the organization can lose money if this and this is not implemented. Now they begin to understand the value of cybersecurity as well as now, of course, the trust and customer confidence is also built. So last but not least, I know I was given about 20 minutes to speak, so I'm not too bad on time. So cybersecurity adds value to an organization by protecting its assets, mitigating risks, ensuring compliance and maintaining business continuity, trust with the customers, and of course, ensuring that we are competitive in the market. So, of course, customers will want to work with an organization that shows that their level of due diligence when it comes to security is top notch. So this is just to close that up. I think this is a very good field. It keeps on growing. You never stop learning. That's the beauty about it. Some of the things Actually, if you go to an interview, most of a question that you'll always be asked is, how do you keep up with the latest trends in cybersecurity? There are a number of platforms, so that's not a question you can fail to get. There are a number of platforms to keep in touch. Twitter, follow guys who are in the industry. LinkedIn, cybersecurity forums. There are a couple of sites like the Hacker News. I remember, was it last week where Fortinet deployed a patch, and just by me every morning just going to review some of these forums, I looked at the Hacker News and saw this is a critical patch that has been released, and we proceeded to deploy it. Even before we received that communication from Fortinet themselves, we had already proceeded to deploy. So it's always good to stay up to date. Continue to enhance your skills on a regular basis. There are many ways to enhance your skills. Like what I mentioned, hack the box. You can even just create a simple VM on your machine and proceed to practice there. Yeah, so there are numerous ways. You don't even need to be employed at that point to say that no, or you give an excuse and say that I've not yet gotten a job, and so that's why I need the practical experience. No. And someone who's interviewing you will be able to know if you've been trying to enhance your skills as well, even before you get that opportunity. So thank you very much. Hope I can take any questions from anybody. I'm trying to keep time.
Thanks, Alex. That was very informative. So any questions? This is the time.
Looking forward to answering any questions. We have 76, I think, participants plus on this forum. So shoot any question. I have one of my colleagues on this forum, so Eric Gashishio, in case I point out to you to assist. He's also just joined the cybersecurity team. Or maybe before we even go there, Eric, would you like to give some background experience of how everything is going so far? I know I've just thrown you under the bus, but you understand how this life works.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Yeah.
Hello, Alex.
Hi, Harris.
Hello.
Before you proceed with the question, I just want Eric to just give a brief, because he's also he's very new. I don't know if you can hear me, but I want Eric to just give a brief experience on how his journey is so far in cybersecurity. Eric, I think you can proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. I think you have talked very well. That was very informative. So on my side, I think my story is very different from yours. I joined cybersecurity direct from campus. I didn't go to support. Maybe that is one of the questions that most people ask me. If you have to go through support or help desk or you join cybersecurity. So my journey has been different, and I think it depends on where you fall after you get your first job. So on my side, what I can say is upskilling has helped me so much. Doing the free courses around here, Cybery, I've used Cybery to do some certifications. I also do HackerOne challenges and hack the box that have really helped me, and also keeping myself up to date. So I think that's what I have done. on my side. So yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Eric. Yeah, so probably I can just add on to what Eric has said. So this gentleman joined as an intern, and from what I could see, he had a lot of interest in vulnerability assessments and PT. He was coming up with scripts. He was doing a number of assessments in the environment, and we're like, you know what? We still have a gap to fill, so we onboarded him, and so far, the gentleman is doing well. Yeah, so now I think I can take questions.
Hello.
Hey, Harris, now you can proceed.
Okay, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Oh, okay, I'm a beginner. Okay, so I was asking, okay, how or where do I filter cybersecurity jobs for entry level?
Oh, there are plenty of forums. There are plenty of forums. LinkedIn, for one. I've actually gotten 2 jobs from there. I've gotten a couple of offers from there. So make sure you build in your LinkedIn profile and be active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Those courses that you do, you can just post them on your LinkedIn profile. Just say you can put I think you can put a setting saying you're open for a job opportunity. And there are a number of recruiters on LinkedIn, so they will get you. Of course, there are also a number of job sites the job posting sites out there. I've forgotten the name of some of them, but I'm sure if you just Google job posting sites in Kenya, you'll get quite a number. And they give you alerts when there's a job post or a job advertised. Yeah, so however, LinkedIn is a very good place to be sourced out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question? Can see
Hi, Alex.
Adrian Mwangi. Yes, proceed. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
I just wanted to find out. I mean, it's a common question that probably it's on all our minds. What would be probably the starting salary of a position such as yours,
So let me just speak
or
about
entry level? Yeah.
Yeah, let me speak about, because it varies. Most organizations have an entry level salary that they'll give you. For me, I started with about 60,000 and went up from there. So it depends on the organization that you join. Some will give you even above 100, based on also if you've happened to do any certifications or you've been enhancing your skills, but always there's usually an entry level bracket for most organizations. So that will vary in different organizations. Thank you. Kelvin. Kelvin, you can proceed.
Okay, hi.
Yeah,
Hi,
hi.
hi. I think I have one question to ask. When you are looking for someone for a position in relation to security, what are some of the questions that you ask in an interview? Because I know you have conducted some interviews. What are the key questions that someone should expect when going for a security? Which are some of the basics one has to know and understand? Thank you.
All right, so I know probably people have seen Jubilee has advertised for some positions out there, so I won't give too much leakage. But basic, because I've been in a couple of interviews. Most interviews will start with, okay, tell us about yourself. Now here, don't go starting to tell people your personal history. More or less here, they want to hear your background in terms of academics. So now you can start by telling people what you've been doing within the industry. You have a degree in this, what you've been doing to enhance your skills, because at this point you've not started working. Just show some interest. And then, of course, you'll be asked a couple of questions in relation to security, like what's vulnerability management, or what is threat intelligence? What do you think a security engineer role entails, or a security operations center entails? Have you interacted with any monitoring tools? Have you interacted with, for instance, Kali Linux, and you've done an assessment on an application? Someone can go ahead to ask you also, what tools have you used, or what tools do you use on a regular basis? If you do a lot of reconnaissance, for instance, how do you do your recon? How do you, let's say you don't even have licensed tools. Kali Linux has plenty of tools. Metasploit, you can be able to do a lot of recon with Metasploit. You can be able to do a lot of recon with tools like Nmap. So those are some of the questions. For an entry level, you'll be asked basic questions just to be able for one to just gauge if you are probably trying to engage yourself in or using different tools to learn. Did that answer your question?
Yes, you have. Thank you.
All right. Then you can see another hand up. I'm not sure who it is. Just a minute. Jeremy.
Jeremy, yeah.
So hello.
Hello.
So actually got two questions.
Mm-hmm.
So one, I watched a video whereby someone was saying that red teaming, the ratio of red teamers to blue teamers is kind of varying. Like there are more people on the blue team rather than on the red team. So actually, I'm wondering, what can I go for? Because most of the organizations or something are focusing more on the defensive side rather than the offensive side of things. So I don't know which part to take. I'm a beginner actually.
All right. So that's true. What you said is very true. Getting people who are in the red team, that skill of pen testing is not that widely out there. Doing certified ethical hacker is really just the beginning of red teaming, but it's not practical. What most organizations are looking for someone in a red team is someone who is very skilled in using a number of tools to do penetration testings. At this point, you'll probably need a bit of experience. And this experience, you don't have to be employed. You can go to Hack the Box. You can go to HackerOne. This will build your experience in regards to getting those skills to do red teaming functions. There is a certification that there are very few people in Kenya I know who have it. I just saw someone on LinkedIn, I can't remember who, just gotten certification, OSCP, Offensive Security Certified Professional. That's a certification that exam takes about 48 hours. And that just goes to show, and there are very few people, that just goes to show that the fact that there are very few people, that red teaming function, it's not easy. Let me just say that. Now, when it comes to the SOC analysts, for you to be a SOC analyst, you just need to understand some of the tools that someone in the red team would use, or some of the tools that a hacker would use, so that you can be able to identify some of those tools when you're monitoring from your solutions. And then a number of things also with the solutions that we have today when it comes to SOC monitoring. Most of the solutions are a bit automated. So a solution can also respond on your behalf, but you also have to investigate if that threat is a false positive or it's a benign positive. So it depends. So you'll find the red teaming function is a super practical skill. that not too many people have. But however, I would suggest if you can enhance your skills in that red teaming function, the better for you. There's an open market for that function.
So question number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Where can I get links to on-site meetings? I mean, actually, I do prefer more physical kind of thing. Like last time, I remember I joined a meeting and I was able to interact with 1-2 people, and yeah, I got something out of it. So, do you know of any sites I can use to locate the meetings?
You want to join? If you want to join or be involved in a number of physical meetings, subscribe to a couple of, be on LinkedIn first of all. LinkedIn there are always people advertising a number of forums they'll have where people will meet up. I remember just saying how I got into this field was through this Africa Hackon. And from there, I was able to interact with a couple of people. So I understand what you're saying. Interacting physically with people is always best because I was able to move around and talk to people and get the experiences in the field. But also there are a number of webinars that I see on LinkedIn. So when you're creating a profile on LinkedIn, you can specify your interests. And then now, based on your interests, and also follow a number of pages that are related to cybersecurity. So based on your interests, you'll always see them on your profile. Every day, I see quite a number.
Well, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. I think there's another hand up. The 2. Oh, Marvin Oyo.
Hello.
Hey, hi.
Hi, thank you, Alexander. Hello, everyone. So I have a couple of questions to ask. Firstly, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity and thank you for being part of the Cyber Shuja mentorship program. And yeah, so my first question is, we had, from our previous mentorship meeting that we had around 2 weeks ago, we had the chance to meet another leader in the industry. His name is Alan Victor Sekungu. And he had, I want to say, similar start, just as you, yeah. And the similarity is that when you guys started out, you both weren't targeting security. Yeah, you were in the field of tech, but security was like I want to say a stone throw away. But as soon as you got inducted into the industry of security, you guys had different environments. Yeah, in terms of like testing out your skills. Yeah, you started out with you started out at Royal Media Services and at what was the other one again? If
Equity Bank.
Equity Bank. So those are two different industries. There's the financial and there's also entertainment. What was a recurring theme as a security practitioner starting out? Yeah, you're an intern, you're starting out. What was the recurring theme, and what were the changes that you had to adapt to in terms of adapting to the environment and learning new systems so that you can further yourself in your career?
All right. So when I was in Citizen, I was an IT support technician. So I wasn't in cybersecurity. But I can still answer that question and tell you how the different in the change was more or less. So when I was in Citizen, more or less their function is on ensuring all systems are up. There's no, especially during news time, you can't afford to have a downtime. So in terms of it was a lot of basic security, just making sure people have antivirus is running, it's up to date. So I can't say the difference between citizen security and or media, for instance, and a bank is very different. Because when I got to the bank now, the infrastructure was just on another level. Because first of all, I've joined a tier 1 bank. The threats are there, or the attack surface area is quite wide. So there's quite a lot that you need to do. I could even just, when I joined, we were very few. So I was doing a bit of more or less everything. But you come to realize that the amount of work that is required in a bank in security is quite a lot. You have to ensure that transactions are secure. Systems, of course, are up. Integrity of those systems is top notch. Of course, I'm maintaining that's just the whole CIA trial. That's the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, after I joined Equity Bank, I moved to Arbita, which is a financial industry, which is an insurance. The difference between those two is that when you go to insurance, a lot of what you're protecting and is very key to them is data. Data is the new oil, and insurance companies hold a lot of sensitive data. So now things like encryption, data encryption in transit and at rest become very key. Ensuring the integrity of information in the systems is also very key. While at the bank, you need, as much of that is also very key. Ensuring that transactions cannot be manipulated on the wire is also very key, very, very, very key. So those are the differences that I've noted within the two. I'm sure, and the companies evolve. With tech, companies are always evolving. So I'm sure even now media companies have enhanced their security. Insurance companies are enhancing their security. When I was in the banking industry, we were about 4 now. I left, we were close to 20. So yeah, the industry is always growing.
Yeah, thank you. Second question is that you mentioned that you had worked with a couple of governance individuals. Right now, us as at Cybersuja, we are learning to develop ourselves into security professionals. We're learning a lot of methodologies, a lot of offense and defense types of fundamental knowledge, going on to specializing, and just familiarizing yourself with skills and tools that are used to provide security implementations to organizations or any entities that are out there that are in need of security services. In the contrast, or rather in the topic of governance, how would you say that somebody in the SOC analyst track, how would you say that they can try to fine-tune themselves into projecting into a career into GRC?
So when it comes to governance, even when you're doing your SOC related activities or your pen test related activities, what guides you is the policies and procedures and the compliance that you need to achieve. So for instance, if you're in the SOC environment, one of the things that you'll be requested to do is ensure, for instance, let's say something simple like password policies, for instance. You need to ensure that password policies are complying to specific standards. Now you're able to monitor different systems for those configurations. So more or less, all you need to do is just understand the policies. Every company has either an IT security policy or an IT policy. Once you get to understand those policies, now you understand how things are meant to be done. So now from there, now you can be able to guide all the functions across security, be it vulnerability assessment, systems need to maintain, you can't have, for instance, critical vulnerabilities severity in that case. of vulnerabilities. When it comes to monitoring, for instance, you have to ensure all systems have to be up to date. So you're able now to guide from that higher level, more or less. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you very much. So lastly, before I go, in the world of today, with all the technology and technological advancements with AI and everything, say you had to start all over again, your career all over again into security, how would you start all over knowing that you had all these resources available to you today? How would you do it differently?
Well, that's a very good question. The beauty about AI at the moment is it's automating a lot of things. So I don't think I'll do too much differently. I'll just more or less get to understand AI is also not just a good actor, but it's also a bad actor. So get to understand also how AI is helping attackers in generating scripts to come up with a couple of new malwares on a regular basis. Understand how you can be able to safeguard organizations from all these zero-day attacks that are coming from different AI capabilities that we have today, but as well also integrating those capabilities that AI has to defend from those threats. AI is used a lot when it comes to the monitoring tools that we have today. So as much as also attackers are using AI to develop new ways to attack organizations, we're also learning how to use AI to defend ourselves from all these threats. Yeah, so it's just more or less looking at the different ways or how AI can be used to secure organizations.
Thank you. That was awesome.
All right, thank you. I think we have another question. Is Jeremy still asking a question? Mukua.
Hello. So
Hey, hi.
I have one question.
Proceed.
For a person who was about recruiting, for a person who has a background in finance and also in tech and also is entering into the cybersecurity space, will he, because at the end of the day, a business wants to gain profit, will he like stand out during a recruiting process?
Oh, yes, definitely. We actually even have someone who moved from finance into tech. And because they understand the system very well, it becomes much easier for them to manage this, because most organizations have systems that have or more or less do financial transactions or whatnot. So you, from your perspective, or if an auditor comes and says, for instance, this system is not balancing because of the integration between this and this system. Now, you be able to come in from a finance perspective, understand why they're not balancing, where the figures are not balancing, as well as now bring your tech expertise in saying now probably the integrations that need to be done need to be looked into a bit further, stuff like that. So it's always a plus. I don't think you're restricted just because you're in business. You can't move into the tech field. I'm sure there are a number of people who have done that. It's just small. Yeah, so as long as you have that passion and you're enthusiastic about it and you're always enhancing your skills, that's just a plus.
Okay.
All right. Shelradi.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. My name is Meshak. I'm a red teamer by day, researcher by night. So I have a brief question. How do you balance between your personal KPIs and your employer's KPIs for a stable career, for your career to be growing in a way that you're able to grow as a person and you're able to perform at your workplace. My second question will be, at what time do you realize that I'm about to grow, I want to grow to the next career level? Is it when like you need more remunerations, or is it when like you feel you have a new certification, or when you feel like you are competent enough to grow to the next level of your career? Thank you.
All right. So I'll start with your first question. It's always, and most organizations encourage the employees to always maintain work-life balance. Yeah, you can't be you can't be working 8 to 10 p.m. every day. You'll burn out at some point. You always need your employees to have fresh minds when they're coming in the morning, be energetic. So when you also within that work-life balance, you can decide now, if I leave the organization at, let's say, 5, I can go and enhance my skills further by just reading a bit more, engaging in different forums like what we're doing right now. So yeah, maintaining a work-life balance is very important. But when you're in a point where you're also trying to enhance your skills, use that extra time as much as possible to read, build your capacity with a number of skills, and that will always help. Your second question was in regards to, please repeat.
My second question was in regard to like when you want to grow like to the next level of your career.
Oh, yes.
So my question was, do you realize that when you have like a new certification, when you feel you're competent enough, or when you want like higher remunerations?
Well, so a good organization will always give you a career path, yeah? So you're told, for instance, like us, we're told you attain these certifications and this is where you can be within your career. So if you're doing a number of certifications and you feel like you've hit a stag and you're not growing, and you're always free to look out there for any other opportunities. However, you can be in an organization and the opportunities are also wide. So you feel like you want to move to this other department within cybersecurity. Let's say you're a red team and you want to experience a bit of blue team, then most organizations will always welcome that. However, from my experience, being in different environment always helps you grow a lot faster, because there's no environment that's the same. You'll always learn in an environment, and the first thing you need to do is start understanding their whole infrastructure as a whole, their policies and procedures, and then now integrate your cybersecurity knowledge into that. So as much as you continue to grow, look for opportunities within the organization that you have. You can always talk to your supervisor and tell him you feel like you can do a bit more. You can take up probably even more leadership roles, or you can always there are a number of opportunities out there. So not encouraging you to all do 1 year and leave organizations quickly, because that also reflects on your CV. But explore the opportunities you have within that organization, but as well as also you can also look into any other organization if you feel like your growth is better placed in another organization.
Thank you.
All right. Any other question? One last question before we close. We have 2 more minutes.
Allow me to ask about mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about having a mentor while you're at Equity Bank.
Mm-hmm.
So how did this, you said it's quite important. So how, like for people, mentees, how do you go about looking for a mentor? And also as a mentor, what is your expectation from your mentees?
So how you go about looking for a mentor? First of all, is someone you're able to relate well with. Someone who's always open and can always reach out to him and talk to him. Someone who is looking out for the best in your career path. Someone who was there and understands what it takes to get to where you want to be. So they're usually able to guide you the best way on how to get to where you are. So yeah, just more or less someone who you can be able to be open with. You can be able to, you're free with them. You can, and they're always reachable. Yeah, because at some point you will, when you're in this career, you can very easily get stuck and you don't know who to call, and you just call your mentor and tells you, "Oh, this is simple, just do this and this and this," and they assist you. So it's really very important to have someone you can always reach out to guide you. Answers your question? But we have one. So someone's hand shoot up real quick. All right. One last question, Koyo.
Are you taking any?
Yeah, I saw someone's hand shoot up.
I'm saying, are you taking any mentees?
Anytime. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. I'll always respond to your questions if you have any. If you find me outside there and you recognize me, I'm always open to just sitting down and just talking. I can always guide. Me, I'm always open. I think there's one more question here. Okay, we have two. Kelvin. Well, let's start with Stella. She put her hand first up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have a question regarding the interviews. I got an interview in some software company, and they questioned me about what I could do in their company. And at the moment, I'm at entry level. So this question kind of confused me because cybersecurity is wide, and I could not figure out what to tell them exactly, because I have learned a lot of things in cybersecurity, and it's a software company, and it got me confused. So if you could help us answer this kind of question kindly.
All right. So now that you already know it's a software company. So any software company, they are developing applications, mobile applications, web applications, whatever it is. So if you're coming from a cybersecurity approach, you can always just tell them based on what you've been learning and the skills that you've been learning. Now you just that's question is just more or less just speaking about what you as an individual, the skills that you have learned that you can now bring to the table. And then from there, they'll always find a place to pitch you, to align you if they like you. But just speak about your skills and your interests and what you've learned over the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Danny.
My question is, considering you've been working in the financial sector for a while now, from where you sit, how ready do you think Kenyan financial institutions are in terms of responding to cyber attacks?
I think there's a great improvement, especially considering the number of attacks that are now not are just in Kenya, but Africa are quite a lot. So a number of organizations currently are just enhancing their security posture. In terms of incident response plan, every organization needs to have an incident response plan, because what we say in security is not a matter of if you will be hit, it's a matter of when you will be hit. It could take a couple of years, but that time will come. But how ready are you to respond to that threat? So I think a number of organizations are now beginning to understand the criticality of having a proper, secure posture within your organization. I'm also seeing a number of cybersecurity forums out there, more or less a number of people, even at the executive level, talking about cybersecurity. So when the executives at the board levels are talking about cybersecurity, then that easily trickles down to the rest. They put in more budget to improve their security posture, because all you need to do is just hear stories of different companies, and it's very easy to relate that with your own organization. So at the moment, a number of organizations, especially in the financial industry, be it circles, insurance companies, banks, you'll always see them once in a while just trying to enhance their cybersecurity skill set. Okay, I hope that has answered your question. I'll take Kelvin, the hand has been up. I'll take that one last question. Kelvin, proceed.
Hello, Mr. Alex.
Hey.
My question is, how do you keep your what is your day-to-day look like as a senior cybersecurity personnel? Another question is, how do you keep yourself updated with your skills in cybersecurity, and how do you keep updated with the rise of cybersecurity issues, and keep updated with cybersecurity threats and attacks in the industry? Thank you.
All right. So a normal day when I get into the office, first things I'll do is review the monitoring solutions, just to see that any alerts or incidents that need to be investigated. I'll also just go through, my favorite website is the Hacker News. So that one is like a newspaper to me. I always go through latest trends there. To improve my skill sets once in a while, like for now, one of the big things is cloud security. So always trying to read on cloud security, as well as now implement. The beauty about it is now I'm able to read and implement what I read. So constantly reading is important. Reading will never end in this industry.
Thank you very much.
All right. Hope, over to you.
Thank you so much, Alex. Personally, my take home will be, you don't need to be, let's say, in a tech company or in a company for you to practice to improve your skills. That's really good. And also, because the topic was how to choose like a career in cybersecurity, majorly by practicing it, by trying everything and learning your interests that way. So thank you so much. Thank you for the participation from all of us. And yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, thanks for having me. Like I mentioned, you can find me on LinkedIn, Alex Njiri. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me if you see me anywhere. I usually attend a number of cybersecurity forums. I'll try and be doing this, speaking a lot, mentorship. I know Jubilee also has a mentorship program that I started with USIU and a couple of other universities. So probably you'll be seeing me more often. So thank you very much for having me on this platform.
Thank you too for going above and beyond and even taking the extra time. Thanks.
Not a problem. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.